G'day listeners, welcome to Bar Karate, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors. But of course I have to share the mic with my two idiot mates. Unfortunately, again, it is only one of the idiots. Let's bring him in.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Boss. Bossy.
You're looking a little windblown, mate. That's from all the hot air in the bar, I reckon, up there.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at the weather.
Yeah.
Current in Ireland. What is it, day 4 of the Worlds?
Oh, mate.
How many races in?
One.
One.
It's a glass off. It's a perpetual glass off. It's insane.
Wow. Unbelievable. It's never normally like this.
Well, even bigger
classics.
than that, right? So the PRO is like the world's coolest dude. This is Peter Crowley. I've got a new best mate.
Pedro. Yep.
Yeah, I've got a new best mate. The guy is awesome. And he said to me the other day, they've never lost a race in a regatta, and they've never lost a day in a regatta. And this club was formed in 1720. So I think we've had one. We've had a major.
Well, speaking of 1720, you're actually in the club rooms now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Must be bringing back some memories when they were laying the foundation, if I remember rightly. You're currently situated in, what do we call it, the model room, the library? Members
room, I think it's called. It's got all those things. It's a library. It's got all the boat hulls. There's some, there's a lot of tradition here. World's oldest yacht club. World's nicest people is probably the other thing that needs to get across. They've been unreal.
It's been hospitable for sure.
Oh, I love the place, and it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. Like, you can't imagine how beautiful this part of Ireland is. Ireland as a whole, but the people, she's a glamour down here across Haven. Very enjoyable part of the world. So yeah, get on it.
Well, my good mate, Carlin Howard, he always takes the piss out of me for being part of a super young club with the Cruising Yacht Club of South Australia, which is 50 years old.
Yeah.
He's, of course, part of the Royal SA Yacht Squadron 150.
Yeah, yes.
Well, shove this one in your pipe, Howard.
Nothing makes me happier than making
1720.
Nothing makes me happier than making Carlin Howard squirm. That's cool. Well, should we bring in our guest?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Him on.
Okay. Well, so obviously, given the fact that I'm stuck in the middle of a boat park, I almost did a live one so I almost invited everyone, but I thought this might be just a bit too much. And, people should pay to listen into this, I reckon. So I just went through the boat park and there's a few guys I really wanted to chat to. And Stu, our guest tonight, is a 4-time Olympian in the 470 class. He's done it with Graham Beale and Dave Hughes. And competed as recently as Tokyo. So welcome to the show, Stuart McNay.
Thank you for having me on the show. It's I feel honored to be here and to prep. Listen to a couple of your podcasts along the way. Want to know what I was in for.
Hey, tell me, Stu, 4 days, no wind. What's been, how have you managed to get rid of Jordan's voice in your head throughout that time?
It's been one of the more exciting parts of the experience.
I can see it now.
That's to say, we haven't had a lot going on, so.
Yeah. I can see it now, Jordan. I saw that picture the other day of everyone just sitting around like the park bench, and I could just see you standing up on that park bench, like just talking to your disciples, telling them how good. Well, you don't have to preach to the converted, right? Just telling everyone about their 505, how good it is.
Oh, that sort of spiel. Yeah. No, look, mate, it's just trying to make it fun, when there's not much going on. So it has been a challenge. I'll be honest, but anyway, we are here, 5-0s, and I do want to say, obviously, the racing has been difficult. Like, we've had to abandon a whole bunch of races, and we've had to do a whole bunch of like it's just been a nightmare, And I'll be honest, there's some unhappy sailors, but what can you do? What can you do? So, what I thought with the whole process is that the chance to talk to Stu would be good because 4Olympics is really cool. But then the other thing is, Stu, you've partnered up with Caleb Payne. So Caleb's a Finn sailor, and he won the bronze in the Finn in the past. And these guys are really, they've brought with them Dave Hughes, who sailed with Stu for the last couple of the Olympics, and he's in the coaching role. And they've looked really good. Like, it's been really impressive. You've never been deep at all. And how I'm always crapping on from a coaching perspective, where you never want to get a bad race. And so Stuart is really there. If they're not the dominant boat, they're one of the two dominant boats, and have to be favourites currently for the regatta after one race.
Well, thanks for saying that. That's a lot of pressure, It's to be leading going into day 5, I guess, or maybe day 4. It's kind of funny. It's not. It's not very important mathematically here, but
So, Stu, tell me. Obviously, the lead up to this regatta has been significant. 4 Olympics, a whole host of other sailing to turn up to try and win the 505 Worlds, and you've only completed one race. All that training, like a solid 16 to 20 years of training, to turn up in Cork with no wind.
Yeah.
Slightly disappointing.
It's like they say, that's yachting.
Hey, so tell me, Stu, all jokes aside, has this regatta been on your radar for quite some time? Or due to the changes out the back of the last Olympics, were you just forced into a bit of a transition and the 5.0 was an obvious choice?
A couple of my college friends have been talking about the 505 for years. And then the guy, Thomas Barros, he coached Dave and I at the last Olympics in Tokyo, and he's done a couple 505 worlds himself. We went to college together, and then another college mate of mine, he's in the 505s, and actually this fall he gave me a call and said, "Hey, I've got a boat. My skipper's bailed on me. Do you think you could come?" And we were able to pull it together at the last minute. I think it was the Pacific Coast Championships out in Santa Cruz, where the world champs will be in 2023. And so that kind of got me thinking about how cool it will be to do the world championships in Santa Cruz. And, as me and my Olympic teammate, Dave Hughes, we always like to take on projects, and, it's, and as we think about things, it's, and I talk collectively like that because Dave and I are good buddies and we talk a bunch. We're not sailing together in the 505, but it's absolutely fantastic to have here as a coach. But so we're thinking, okay, how do you do well at the 2023 Worlds? Well, you should probably go to the 2022 Worlds. And Caleb Payne, who I'm sailing with here, we were on the Olympic team together in 2016, and also I was teammates with Dave Hughes at the time. All three of us are really good buddies. And so it was just, I gave Caleb a call, and a generous guy in Rhode Island, Mike Zani, he lent us one of his boats to use down in Clearwater, Florida. Caleb and I got the knack of it pretty quickly. It's kind of like a 470 on steroids. And then plus all the fun technical stuff that you kind of wish you could do in a 470. You're thinking about all the time, but it's but it's not in the rules, so you can't go there. We caught on quickly. We did well at the we won the midwinters, and then the week later at the North Americans, we lost to Mike Martin by a point, and that kind of left us hungry. And so, we're on the fence about the Cork Worlds, but Ian Pinnell was able to pull a boat together for us, coordinated with Nathan Batchelor a bit, and we were able to make it happen.
Fantastic. We'll get into the.
I've got to flesh it out for you, Boss. I have to flesh something out for you, bud, just for the listeners. And, I hope I don't offend Stu here. Obviously, Stu, like myself, rocks a little bit of chest hair, which is cool. Oh, yeah, he's got a beard going, as you can see, Boss. And Caleb, mate.
Where's this going, listeners?
Caleb's rocking the moustache, and he's rocking the full retro clothing attire. When they go up on stage, it's like looking at a 70s modelling catalogue. It is very quite impressive.
Mate, sorry, Stu, this is completely off subject, and the listeners don't quite know about this, but we were approached by a company to promote their product on the website, and I got voted out not to do it. But that particular product, I'll get to what the product was, but that particular product would have been something that we could have given to all our guests as part of the merch pack. And yes, that's right, everyone. It was a shaver from a company called Manscaped. There you go, Manscaped. So I'm glad. We knocked that one back. Actually, that could have fitted in quite well.
Well, I guess we both would have been grateful for something, but we don't use them.
That's right. Oh, good. So, all right, before we get into, and I'm guessing, now, add a guess here, all-American, collegiate, all that sort of stuff, all these kind of words that we don't quite understand in Australia.
All-American's very important where we come from.
Correct. So tell us about that. So, how'd you start out going right back to the whether it was Opties or whatever it was, all the way through to where we are now?
Oh, goodness. Well, that's quite a trail. I won't bore you with some of the details there. But my family had a house on the water, and so boats, on one sense, were always part of our lives, and at a multi-sport camp, sailing was one of the activities, and that was my favorite one. And the counselors told my mom, "Hey, you should think about a learn to race program for this guy." And just down the street was the Beverly Yacht Club, and they had a cool way where kids, regardless of whether their parents were members, could be a part of it. And I learned to race. I did the Opti, and then a little bit of 420, but more laser radial, and then kind of jumped into the collegiate sailing scene. That's a really big part of sailing in the States. Being from the Northeast, I didn't sail that many days each year prior to university. And then at university, I probably tripled my days. Got a bit better. And the coach, a good friend of mine, Zach Leonard, he was really interested in helping me weave Olympic aspirations into collegiate sailing. And so during my school breaks and over the summer, I started sailing the 470 a bit. There was a small 470 group in the U.S. at the time. So that was a good platform to learn. And then while I was in college, I made the U.S. sailing team, and and as I was graduating, I started filling out some applications for jobs, but I was sailing too, and sailing was just too fun. So that was the direction I turned, and it's been a big blur. Here I am.
Big blur. Have you always been good, Stu? Have you always been at the pointy end of the fleet, or it just clicked one day?
I'd say it's been a progression. I've always considered myself a worker. Had a couple standout performances as a kid, which kind of got attention and allowed me to leapfrog into the next stages of things. But it's not like I won everything as a kid or anything. It's you know, I think putting a lot. It's a lifelong sport, and so if you're able to construct a good process, you can continually build, and it's the product after many years that's important. So I've you know, I think been able to do that.
Here. Good.
It's really noticeable from my perspective, mate. Just the work process, you know, like because it's important for the listeners. Stu, you won the Melges 24 World Champs, I think.
That's correct, 2016.
And I think that was with Dave.
Yep, with an Irish team as well.
Oh, that's right. It was an Irish team. Yeah. Okay. So you're part of the whole thing, and then also a J80 World Champs. Do they have World Champs in J80?
Believe it or not, they do.
The North Americans.
Yeah. Right. Well, there were a couple of European teams there. I was a tactician on a boat with a good friend, and we took the title when it was in Annapolis in 2014.
Yeah, that whole northeast sailing scene's interesting, isn't it? You know, obviously we're aware of it. You know, we started referring to the Newport Mafia with Rome. You know, we just started calling it the Newport Mafia, and then there's the whole Annapolis thing, and so this kind of from our perspective, we as Australians, you know, well, obviously we spend a lot of time in your country doing a bit of sailing because that's Australians are bums. We just sort of jump on planes and appear in lots of places. But there is that sort of northeast, west coast, and then I guess there's the Florida scene as well. Is there anything else I'm missing, or is that sort of how you spin around?
That's how I view it right now. The Florida scene has gotten huge, Miami especially, a little bit on the west coast in Clearwater. But those are the main areas of the country, and you can, I don't know, the West Coast guys are a little more laid back. The East Coast guys don't sail as many days each year, but you've got to be pretty wound up when you do. And then the Florida guys, that's kind of an amalgamation of people from all over who
getting around with your gold necklaces.
Exactly.
Down in Florida.
You have to find a way to fit into the Miami fabric.
And how about
hang on, boss.
We've forgotten the Midwest. We've forgotten the Midwest. We've got the freshwateries.
Home of the Melges, in fact.
The freshwater.
Yeah. That's a vibrant scene up in the Great Lakes. And it's really, really fun sailing there. Raced an E-Scout Inland Championships there years ago with a good friend, and raced a couple Melges regattas out there. The hospitality is wonderful. You know, a lot of people have these houses right on the lake shores where they lift up their tender, their motorboat kind of on a forklift at night so it doesn't get algae on it. It's just a great scene over there. Really, really fun.
The other one, boss, is that there's a young lad, he's only 18 here, and he's joined in to sail with Howie Hamlin's crew down in Long Beach in California. And he's going gangbusters, right? So sailing with Howie, they share all information. He's like a young Sandy Higgins. He's got the tight, really, really tight blonde hair, the same thing. And I think he got third in that one race we've had, and he was sixth in the pre-worlds. And I got him up on stage just to chat because he's here in Ireland. He had his 18th birthday 2 days before the regatta, and obviously being an American, 21, you can't drink, but 18
21, correct.
In Ireland, no problems.
And bad place to start in Crosshaven, bloody Ireland.
And I got him up on stage and start talking to him, and it was just hilarious, mate, because he's the full American dude, you know, surfer bum language. And I did this whole interview, and I just looked at him and I said, "You're not Californian, are you, mate?" He said, "Yeah, man, I'm Californian. Yeah, Californian." I think he's got potential.
Hat was on backwards. Loving it. So
he even wears a Grateful Dead shirt.
Oh,
tie-dye, kind of old school. Yeah.
So, your Olympics, Stu, what was it? Beijing, London, Rio, Tokyo?
Exactly.
Yeah. Any standouts, best and worst?
I loved the Rio Olympics. It was our best performance, and so that's when but it's just an amazing, amazing place to sail. Outside in the ocean, you have large swell. Inside in the bay, there's tons of current. There's chop. There are wind shifts. I mean, it's just, you can understand why the Brazilians are great sailors. A lot's thrown at you down there. And then just on top of it, being able to hang out around Rio, going to the top of that Sugarloaf Mountain and, Copacabana Beach is a great place to be. And
it's quite a place, unless you get all your wares stolen from you. But if you are street smart, it's quite a good place for sure. How much time did you spend there actually pre-regatta or up on Sugarloaf, kind of getting an idea of how that bay works?
Yeah, well, over each Olympics, it became clear that a team who could spend a lot of time at the venue would have an advantage at the regatta. And
sure.
As we all know that about the sport of sailing. And how much time? I mean, we spent about 3 months a year there in the in the 3 years prior to the Olympics. It's a fairly easy trip from the U.S., basically a 9-hour overnight plane flight. And I forget exactly how it is now, but at one time a year, it's a 1-hour time change, and at another time of year, it's a 3-hour time change. It's our daylight savings going opposite directions. But it was great. And so we would stay over on the Niterói side, which is kind of the opposite side of the Bay of Rio. But you just meet everyone in your boat out there and have some great training days with whoever's out in the water.
Oh, mate. Jordan, this is for you, my friend.
Yes, bud.
It would take some serious willpower. If I'm spending 3 months of the year in Rio, Pork Hour Restaurant, for starters.
Yes.
Let's call it the midnight hours. That would be high on the agenda.
and have been, buddy. And have been, let us just say.
My God.
Dear.
That's some serious willpower.
Yeah. It's a great country and great sailors, the Brazilians. So, like super talented sailors.
So, all right, Stu, that's a great example or a good experience you had. Is there anywhere that you went and it's like, oh, how on earth did the Olympics turn up in this spot?
Well, I can't dog any Olympic venue like that. But, I mean, all my, my first Olympics in China, the sailing in Qingdao, I remember on the first day, our Finn sailor, this guy, Zach Rayleigh, we're hanging out on the street and he says, I want to try some street meat here. He goes up to the vendor and he gets the meat on a stick, and you have no idea what it is. Obviously, it's covered in spices and everything. He eats the thing, and the next 4 days, just it's coming out of everything it can, and so he's anyway. That was the last of the street meat. But we were probably more daring than we should have been with drinking the water and eating all the local food and stuff. It was actually great being part of that country. As far as Olympic experiences go, we were probably, most involved in the local scene at that Olympics. As you probably would be in your first Olympics, because that's really when it's about,
Yeah, the other thing, of course, in China, my friend, is that you've got to, every time you hop into a taxi or a car in China, your whole life is just going to flash before your eyes, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's absolutely terrifying. I mean, I was in a taxi when the taxi driver ran into a pedestrian, got out of the car, yelled at the pedestrian for being in his way, and then drove away. It was a different experience.
I remember, boss, I know you weren't in the taxi with me, and I got into the taxi and I just went off on the guy just at the start. I said, just do not kill me. I want to go home. And I was in with two other people, and I pulled my phone out and I thought, I'll just record this for 30 seconds and see how many near-death experiences we get in 30 seconds. So three was the tally just for 30 seconds of filming.
Well, did you take note, though, when he was leaving the taxi rank, yelling to all his mates, watch this, fellas. I'm going to show this round-eyed bastard how we do it over here.
That probably was happening, yeah.
Hey, boss, I have to bring in, do you remember back a while ago when they appointed the new head of the US sailing team? We should actually dive into US sailing and how the structure works.
I've got that written down here, specific question, as a matter of fact.
Well, remember we hypothesized that you would see all
US
sailing team members.
Moustaches?
Yes. Well, if we look here at Stu, obviously it's very easy to convert his facial growth into a moustache from the beard, and your crew, young Caleb, he is rocking the moustache. It's happening.
It's happening. It's the thing. I mean,
all right. Well, that's our segue.
They've basically got the curse, but I've got one more to throw in there. You young 18-year-old who's probably still waiting to grow some pubes, but he's running the tight curl, which Mr. Kayard runs.
Yeah. He's got, and the round glasses. So the 70s are invading. The 70s are invading the US quite clearly. His name's Morgan Pickney, I think. By the way, just Morgan Pickney.
Morgan, yep,
that's right.
Got that.
Morgan the Organ is what we'll start calling him, like those sort of 70s retro nicknames. So, but yeah, it's been fun. I do want to get into how, we sort of glossed over a little bit just with you, mate. You come in that sort of Massachusetts region, you just sort of went, I'm sailing collegiate stuff, and then I'm sailing Olympic stuff. How do you fund it? From an American, how does it all happen? How are you able to afford to live? Because you've got a family, you've created a life as a professional sailor, effectively.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and it's not straightforward in the U.S. And quite frankly, in order for kids to get good coaching through junior sailing, that largely has to come from their parents. And so it's something which the sailing community as a whole in the U.S. is struggling with. But I think accessibility is improving. Really the backbone of each individual Olympic campaign is a group of supporters who are able to donate to a tax-deductible foundation. There have been a number of them over the years. U.S. Sailing used to have one. New York City, there's a New York Sailing Foundation, et cetera, et cetera. And so you try to build up a war chest, and there are a number of grants available. Back when Graham and I were sailing, the HISA Foundation out in California was very generous, and then once you climb the international ranking, you get some help with the the U.S. Olympic Committee, and that's that as a single donor that can definitely be your largest one if they decide to support you. Although pretty much everyone ends their Olympic campaign in debt, which means they had to self-fund it one way or another at one stage or another. Because, you're a competitor, you want to win, you want to do what it takes, and you end up digging into your pockets a bit to make that happen.
Was there a big culture? I'm kind of picturing a bit of Shark Tank here. You step up in front of the US Olympic Committee and you're either the best salesperson in more ways than one. You can either be the best salesperson commercially or the best salesperson on the water. So were there some individuals that were just cracking at getting in front of the committee and getting funding, or you just had to get the results?
Oh, no. There are absolutely some who can draw the interest and the feeling of untapped potential by the Olympic Committee, and there's always a feeling of inequality. No one feels they get what they deserve.
Sounds a bit like our podcast.
Yeah. Well, you have to demonstrate that need, make them, you have to show them you want it, and then pique their interest. So,
yeah, recognize who's on the committee, dress in the exact right manner. If they're from the Northeast, you've got a foot in the door. If they're from California, we're going to have to slip the Vans on, put the hat backwards, and ask for some moolah, man.
So, boss, just for your heads up, mate, I don't know, have you jumped onto the US Olympic sailing website lately just to see what?
No, not
some of the athletes.
No.
There's some entrepreneurial stuff going on there. So if you do jump on there for me this week, where I jumped on, because you know me, I do my research. They're selling pet products. So US Sailing is selling pet products. So if you want, I'm assuming there's a backer, and they're selling pet products. And that's how they're going to fund 2024 is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago, I think there were some woven bracelets. You could, if you sold enough, you could get a percentage.
Oh yeah, I see there is actually quite a number of supporters there.
Yeah, well, just for your benefit, Stu, the president of the 505 class, who is here, he runs a whole chain of pet hospitals. So like if they are trying to sell pet products and you get a commission, just go and see Quirky.
I'll keep that in mind.
So, Stu, speaking US sailing team, the current direction it's going in, is this something that you agree with? Is it? Do you think it's going the right way? You said things are starting to open up a little bit. Do you see some success coming?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at the success for the U.S. at the youth levels, like at the Youth World Championships, that's been awesome. And so there've been, and it's all, it's all tied in, where there have been some very, very successful regional teams in the U.S. with really, really high level coaching. There's a guy, Steve Keen, who's, he produces one 420 world champion after another. Clearly, the depth of talent in the U.S. hasn't been what's holding the country back, but a way of retaining talent, and probably through really the showing the true possibility of getting a medal, if you are a part of the program. That's what every competitor wants, and that's what motivates people. So as far as the direct, I mean, if we hear that there's money coming in the door, and that's always a really good thing, and there's great talent coming up the pipeline, that's a good thing. And I think they're trying to put the coaches in place who can hold on to the talent and coach them into the success that that their talent can allow them. It's there are a lot of institutional challenges in the States, and U.S. sailing has been up and down over the years, but often I think the best approach is to build on what you have rather than scrap everything and try to reinvent. And I hope and think that's what's happening.
So that opens up a question, obviously, just specifically around you, mate, is that obviously with the change at the Olympics, we've gone to a mixed crew in the 470. So did you've done 4 Olympics, you've done a lot, and you probably you may not think, you've got a family, you might want to do other things. Now you're sailing 5.0s. Why the hell would you want to do a 470? Maybe that thought process. But did you actually think about, what, let's pair up? And I guess the other thing for the listeners, just to explain, sure, you're not the largest dude. What, you're about 5'7", 5'8", something like that? Yeah, and about, I don't know what your weight would be, 65, something like that?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So you could have partnered up with a female on the wire. Did you think that process through?
Yeah. I mean, I love sailing. I love the Olympics. With all that love, there's some mixed feelings in there, though. Relationships are complicated. And so, but yeah, it really pushed my family to the limits, and they were huge supporters of me and had my back the whole way. But it was, it's important to do things a little differently going forward here.
It's time to cash in, is what I interpreted that to, Bicey. It's time to go pro sailing and cash in.
Move into the entertainment business, find some nice owners, and start sending it. You'd fit not quite nicely down the in the tactician's role on any boat, I'd reckon. Being a former 470, one of the hardest classes.
Well, you said it. It's I've been doing a bunch of pro sailing over the years. I do tactics, as you say, a bit of trimming as well, and it's and actually I've been doing a bunch of coaching also. So this spring, I was an assistant coach for the Brown University sailing team, and that's their sailing center is about 10 minutes from my house, and I can drop my kids off to school, do practice with the Brown kids, have dinner with my kids. It's been a welcome change, to be honest. And but that being said, I love the glamour of the big boats, and that's a fun scene to be a part of.
Absolutely. Well, given I don't know what the forecast is for the next few days, but I'm pretty certain you two have probably swapped notes anyway on different coaching strategies. Jordan's probably one of the best known coaches in Australia, as a matter of fact, as he tells us. Or sometimes we refer to him as Super Coach.
That's a great title. I think, I just brushed off a lot of what he was saying, but maybe now with your endorsement, this is.
I mean, it must be that coaching role, having been on the water, had your coaches. It must be actually now quite satisfying seeing what can be developed with a bunch of youth and seeing them progress and hopefully one day get to where you got to.
Yeah, that part is really cool. I talked about that potential thing earlier, and that is really, that's exciting. You're working with the kid. The kid's exciting. The kid is excited about the process. You don't know where it'll end up. They don't know where it'll end up, but you all have lofty goals. And that's a rewarding process.
Yeah.
One of the things that's interesting, boss, this is sort of been a discussion for many years in the 5 space, and I think Stu will be able to sort of speak to this from the American perspective. The one thing the Yanks do really well is they share information. You know, like
Yep.
you know, they have in the West Coast they have what's called Team Tuesday. It helped Howie with the 18s, with the 14s and the 5-0s and all those guys. You know, the US team is really, really, really strong here at the 5-0s. And that whole ability to share information. And one of the things that those guys say to me, the US guys, is you guys are just too selfish. You don't share information. That's what costs the Australians.
Mate, we live way too close to New Zealand. It's just a staunch off. It's a staunch off in the boat park, right?
Right.
Aussies are probably worst at it in history.
Yep. Yeah, and it's costing us, you know, like that. Because I've always sort of, one of the arguments I have is if you want to be a good sailor, go sailing. 2, if you want to be a great sailor, you sail with other people, share info, and then you get to the world champs and you're just still racing with those same people you've shared the info with. You know, your world championship fleet that you're competing against is only a couple of boats, and the Americans really rail into us on that. Like I was just interested, Stu, if you have any view on that, like whether you perceive the Americans as good sharing teams, or in the 470s it wasn't like that.
Well, there's within the Olympic group in the U.S. they're limited resources, and so there's competition amongst that group to get those resources. That was, especially the case in the last 15 years. But I think it's starting to change a little bit. It's a little bit of a team culture thing, but basically just the mechanics being if the team offers you enough to be a part of the team, as in, they provide great structure, great coaching, great support, then to be a part of the team, you share the information. If the team isn't giving you much, then you don't feel like you want to give them much in return. Or just that there's, much to be gained by creating that. And, going from, and then, and so then you even end up having international training partners then, it's such, because, you can't go to the Olympics if you don't win your trials, and, but that being said, it's all about the medals and it's not just about attending the event. And so, having a really good training relationship with another American team, like this last quad, we worked really closely with the women's team in the 470 and that was really beneficial for them and us. But transitioning into the 505 fleet, where within the U.S., just the, people readily share because of what you two are talking about. If you get better by sharing your ideas with others, even if you think they're great ideas, chances are they can be made better, or they're not as good as you think they are.
So I guess we've got the ultimate real-time example right now, yeah? So you've jumped in the 5-0. And the sharing culture in the US, specifically in the 5-0, is strong. Did you instantly feel that?
Yes.
First time you were rigging up down the beach?
It came.
Like everyone was coming up and how he's like, oh, no, move the jib car in there, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely. And it came in 2 forms. One was just a welcome in a social sense of awesome to have another guy here who loves sailing and wants to be a part of our group. And then in the sense of, any question I ask, they'll share what they honestly think and then they ask me and I share what I honestly think. And it's just really, it's a wonderfully refreshing culture to be a part of. And, everyone at this regatta is here because they love sailing and they want to be sailing. That's the fact.
All right, I was going to save this question right to the end. But I think this will lead into basically where we are now and where you two guys are. How good is the 505? We've heard Jordan crap on about it for years and years and years now. How good is it really?
You know, it's almost as good as they say.
Good answer. I like it.
You know, it's amazing that this boat, which was designed. I don't know. I know the 470 was 1963, 1964. I don't know. Do you know when the 470, when the 50 was built?
I think it's like 52 or something. It's 60 years.
It's incredible that hull shape and hull design has been able to survive the test of time. It's basically a skiff hull shape, and it's incredible. And then with the relatively open development of the class, it's been able to stay with the times in every way, and you get a lot of the excitement that you can find in the more fragile modern planing dinghies. So, you can have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah. I mean, it's not hard to look at the caliber of the fleet, not only in Cork now, but over the years. Pretty much every good yachty has been in a 50 at some point in time. So, okay, that's more a statement than a question. But where we are now, your current leaders 5 days in. What's the format for the next couple of days? How's the weather looking? I'm having a look at a bit of weather at the moment. It's not looking that flash.
No. Absolutely not that flash, but we don't need much to make us happy at this stage. So we need a wind that can stay over 5 knots for a 1 hour time period. And I think it looks like we're probably going to have that, maybe a light nor'easter or something, which is a bit of a side offshore. I don't know what you're seeing. It's light enough that it could change into anything. But
what is the PRO doing, Jordan? Is he taking you offshore? There's more breeze offshore, or there's something localized inside the bay?
So it's been intense, boss. I've got to say, just before. So there's this sort of strange, there's this ridge just planted over Ireland. I think it's going to move out the way tomorrow. But offshore has been glassy for days, not even a puff. There's this strange anomaly, where you enter into the harbour here, and the harbour here at Cork is supposedly the second largest natural harbour in the world behind Sydney, and it's pretty cool. But so the entrance, if you imagine the heads in Sydney Harbour, but there's a sort of running, there's wind that comes channeling down, so there's nothing out to sea, and there's 12, 14 knots right there, but there's all sorts of tidal influences, so they won't let us go there. And then so there's this other inshore course, which for the first few days of no wind, it got up to about 8 to 12 knots out there, and then but the 50s insist of being a long way from land, and so we couldn't do it, and then it started to realise that shit, we're not going to get any sailing, and so we went there, but unfortunately it was dropping out, so we had 8 knots down to 3 knots up and down. At the moment, the issue, so next 2 days look like there's going to be this sort of nor'easter come down, which is parallel to the coastline, and we should get some breeze out there, but that's a gradient. The sea breeze could actually oppose it slightly, so it could not work. We could end up with no races, but I think the format for the next 2 days will get out there offshore, and 3 races a day is what I think is going to happen. I don't think there'll be anything beyond that, 2 lap windward lords, 3 races a day, 1 mile beats. That's he'll be pumping them out. So yeah, it'd be great.
No choice.
Yeah,
right?
No choice.
Yeah, it'll be rapid fire out there. Everyone will have to be on their toes.
Good. And is that your strength? Is the light air your strength, Stu, or it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter. We're pretty well rounded. I mean, I've never sailed the boat in over 18 knots, so can't really speak to that. I don't know. But that being said, Caleb's a big guy, so we're one of the bigger teams,
It's interesting, like they've been really right there the whole time in the light winds, but you've got a few boats that just absolutely shine in really strong stuff, like the San Francisco crew, and if he hasn't sailed them in over 18 knots, well, I suspect you probably will discover the joys of watching Howie and Mike disappear over the horizon.
Exactly. I look forward to it. Look forward to the big stuff when it comes.
Look forward to wind, actually, is probably the thing. But, it must be not only competitors, but the whole organisation just praying for something. Absolutely praying for it.
I got to, so let's, I want to focus in on a couple of things, because I'm interested in the pathway to sailing, Bice, as you know. And, you got into sailing by the circumstance you've already described. If you hadn't gone sailing, what other sport would you have been in another sport, or would you have done something else?
I've always been a really active guy. I played a ton of soccer when I was a kid. And I basically as I started to sail, I got slower in soccer. My foot speed was worse. And my hand was kind of forced at that stage. But I wrestled in high school, and I love playing sports.
So Sail GP suddenly's opened up for you, mate, because basically what happens behind the scenes in Sail GP is it's just a non-stop football or rugby or soccer fest. As soon as everyone's not looking, all the balls come out, and it's like the Kiwis lead the way. The Kiwis pull everything out, but the Poms have been pulling the soccer balls out, and the Kiwis bringing the rugby balls out. So maybe you should just keep emphasising that you're pretty good at that stuff, because that might drag you into the US team.
Drag you into the team, you reckon?
They need another good player, huh?
One of the things I know you were into the basketball, mate. I think on your bio under the US sailing bio, it says you like basketball. Is that true, or is it just you're a fan?
I used to play it for fun, probably shouldn't be on the bio as I read it now.
Well, sounds a bit like with Young Australia. On my bio, I was in the state frisbee team. List all the sports you're into. Oh, yeah, a bit of AFL, state frisbee team. All South Australian.
One of the things, Stu, that we do, and Bicey and I have done it to each other a lot, is when we're doing commentary or we go into TV or something, and we do it with everyone else, is we give phrases and words to each other that we have to get on there. Have you ever done anything like that when you're interviewing? Like, do you challenge yourselves? Do you guys sort of play little games behind the scenes?
I haven't, but that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, we just with the whole way, it would have been 8 years of Volvos, just all these different words that we had to get across, which was part of the fun. What about your family, mate? Are the kids going to come in to the world of sailing, or you think there's other interests, or your wife has had enough?
A little bit of everything you've mentioned there. I see Luke Ingalls and John Ingalls here sailing, and that just, that looks like a dream come true to sail with one of your kids. It's an expensive sport. I hope they don't push too hard in that way. But my daughter's been horseback riding a little, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, the only bit better than equestrian, but it sounds as though you've got that covered.
Right, exactly. Horses eat, so.
Exactly.
I completely forgot. I was just going to hit. It was going to be the best question that was asked for the whole interview, and I just lost it. So apologies for that. Yeah. So from the perspective for you now, mate, what's the future? What will drive your income for the future? So are you going to go into a real job, or are you going to be pro sailor, and what's the plans?
This year I've been doing pro sailing and coaching, and of course the fun 505 stuff. What's the future? I don't exactly know, but I love boats, so I would find it hard to imagine straying from this way of life. And having spent this many of years committed to an activity, it'd be hard to change. But that's not a great reason to not do something just because it's hard. I just the competition of the sailing world. That's it's every race. It helps me get up in the morning. I like being on the water. I like feeling how boats go through the water. Of course, I'm at a stage now, almost a year after the Olympics, and I am asking those questions, and maybe there is something which works a little better for me and my family life. But at this stage, I'm coaching in pro sailing, and it's great.
Loving it. Driving towards Santa Cruz, obviously.
Exactly, Santa Cruz.
The one question
sorry.
Go on.
How about I put this one to you, Stu? Not only driving towards Santa Cruz 2023, how about the recently announced world titles at Adelaide Sailing Club? Henley Beach and combined Adelaide Sailing Club 2025. Jordan, correct me if I'm wrong.
505 world titles. Well, that would be lovely. I'm always a fan of sailing in Australia. I raced the ISAF Combined Worlds in Perth, and then there was a 470 Worlds in 2008 down in Melbourne.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Well, Jordan will probably tell you, Adelaide Sailing Club's one of the best off-the-beach places to sail along the coast here.
Yeah.
So it's going to make for a fantastic regatta. I will warn you, though, possibly over 18 knots.
Oh, I also heard there's some sharks.
Guaranteed
only at the wing mark. So you only do windward lewards.
Well, I hope the sharks know where to hang out.
The other thing, of course, with a 5.0, this is something that anyone that's thinking about coming. Henley is a unique club. So with a 5.0, fixed rudder, so you sail off the beach, because off the beach sailing is glamour sailing. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world to sail. You'll love it. But launching off Henley, it's the only place in Adelaide that really gets a wave, and you've coming in at the end of a day when there's a wave on and you got to pull your rudder off. It can be expensive on masts.
Thought about it already.
We'll work
Jordan.
on our rudderless sailing.
We've thought about it already.
Yeah.
And I'm working on getting a bigger breakwater put in at the Adelaide Sailing Club for that exact reason.
Fair enough. You're so in touch, mate. You can get the whole government to just do what you want. That's impressive.
Oh,
boss.
Don't worry. I'm a bit of a mover and shaker down here.
But I will say, Stuart. In my 5.0 days sailing off Henley, we have caught like a good 3 or 4 foot wave in with no rudder, just riding it and balancing the boat. You need to develop the sailing without your rudder skills.
That's impressive. You sound like a legend.
He got me. He got me.
Oh, yeah. Jesus. You've got him, Stu. You've read straight through him. If you haven't heard of it, you've just convinced yourself.
Just nailed it, and well deserved. I think I felt I deserved that, so I'll take that. The one question I do want to finish off on, mate, because we're just about done on time, is that if you're talking to a youngster listening, like there's a ton of them listen, what do you think was the greatest thing for you to advance your sailing? Like what was the learning that really advanced your sailing?
That's a great question. It could probably go a lot of directions with that. I'd say, I'd say learning how to sail the boat without any other boats around. When I was a kid and I would sail by myself, it was really hard to be focused because I didn't know what to focus on. It's kind of as you get better, you get better at practicing. And then, kind of, ultimately there was a time, I remember early in the 470, I was only comfortable being in a part of the course where there were other boats around because, I could know, am I pointing enough? Am I footing? Like what's happening here? But then, it's like a musician developing absolute pitch, being able to know the pitch without hearing it first. And so anyway, it's, I think that's a really cool skill to work on, how to bring a boat to its potential in the absence of other boats.
That's a fantastic point, and it took me straight back to sailing Malaysia by myself. You're beating your head against a bloody brick wall to start with, not to mention going out there by yourself thinking, what can I do to go better?
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Stu.
And, if you can sail with a teammate, you absolutely should. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, mate. Ton of fun. I reckon when you nailed it, but you'll be, and then, of course, he's taken time from his preparation for the regatta tomorrow. He's got 6 races ahead of him, I'd suggest. So I appreciate you taking the time. It's been a ton of fun.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be here with you guys.
Thanks, Stu. Really appreciate it, mate. Best of luck for the remainder of the regatta, and hope to see you on top of the step. Now, just one last point, and Jordan probably pointed it out, he probably didn't announce it to the rest of the guys around, but you now have the Barkarati curse, so it's a fair chance you'll win this regatta.
Well, I'll take that curse.
It is.
We are a superstitious mob.
It is.
So take it.
It's pretty much a guarantee. Most people come on our show and win from that point on.
Yeah. Between that and wearing the same underwear all week, I think we're good.
Awesome, man. All right. No worries.
Thanks, Stu.
Okay. Mate, it's interesting, isn't it? I hadn't met Stu before this regatta, and he's been him and Caleb. They've been. I've met Caleb before. I know Caleb, but I hadn't met Stu, and it's just super fun guys. And Dave, their coach, so Dave Hughes, and for all the Aussies out there, when they hear the name Dave Hughes, very famous comedian in Australia is Dave Hughes. Hughesy, big round guy, and Dave Hughes is not. He's the Will Ryan build, he's probably 6'2" and 70 kilos. Yeah, that typical 470 crew build. But he's very considered in his approach. They're sailing really well. They don't make mistakes, they're really smart tactically. It's good to watch, if you're thinking about it from a strategic and tactical perspective, it's nice to watch them. I don't get to watch too much. I'm rushing. I'm a little bit busy with everything I'm doing, but when I sort of look up, I can see them, and they're sailing nicely, and they haven't been in the class that long, and they're going well, really well.
Well, that's the impressive thing, right? They've jumped in, and it's clear that whole sharing of information thing, it instantly brings you up to a level.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a whole lot of natural talent which is required, and operational and all the other shit that goes along with it. But it kind of gets you a good foot in the door, right? So yeah.
It's the whole process of being in the Olympics. It's a different level, but they're the only boat out there with a coach boat, really, to give you some idea. And but nothing's established yet. It's still. Anything could happen. This has just been a crazy world. But anyway, that's everyone goes through them. So, yeah, we'll see how they play out. But
it's all part of the game.
Barkarati curse is going to probably guarantee them a win. All right.
Jeez, you wait till that turns on us, man.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Well, you wait till the curse goes the opposite direction at some point.
The longer
no one will never get a guest again.
Well, at the moment, we can get them easy. That's all I'll say. They all want to come on. Oh, regatta coming up. Let's get on Barkarati. Okay, what's coming up? Oh, look.
Listener of the week.
No,
Jack
club
Lloyd,
events.
listener of the week.
Club events.
Oh, club event. Yeah,
Club events. There's a little known boat. I thought we should publicise, boss. It's sort of, I don't know if many people would have heard it. It's a thing called a star. Have you heard of the star? Yes.
Well, I'm sensing a theme here. Like, bloody hell, we're crapping on about all these old boats all the time.
Well, it's all resurgence, mate. Everything's coming back, as I said.
Retro.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm one step ahead here.
Okay.
Have you seen a 1950 Land Rover? 1979 Caribbean Crusader 235. Mate, I'll tell you. I'll be working on the Dirty Mo by the time we record next week. Yeah. And that will go. We should actually just have a retro edition.
Like it.
For the show. But yeah, sorry, back to the star. Speaking of retro, plenty of Mo's will be kicking around in that fleet.
We're a month out from their world champs. They're doing world champs in September. And it is going to be the 100th Star World Champs.
100th?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought that it'd probably worth that we give them a bit of a plug. It's going to be in Marblehead. So it's I think the original ones were in Long Island in New York, so not too far away. So they sort of tried to recreate that whole thing. And so they're definitely going to do a big celebration around it. As far as I understand, 90 entries so far. Obviously, we've got the press release. 14 nations, 15 world champions, past world champions in the fleet. We all know the Star class is one of the premier classes. All the greats have sailed her. It's going to be pretty impressive. So we're interested. We're excited for all the sailors. And, ton of fun. We thought that we'd just give that a nice little plug as our club event of the week.
Speaking of plugs, and I did give it a little bit of a plug during talking to Stu, but the recently announced 505 world titles in, as we spoke about, Henley and Adelaide, leading straight out of the Laser Worlds the year before. Yeah. So busy time along the coast in Adelaide.
Yeah, and we joke about all the sharks and that stuff, but what Adelaide, Barkarati came together through Adelaide. We're all an Adelaide connection, so we've all sailed on those waters a huge amount of time. It is one of the great places to sail in the world. You're sailing straight off a beach. It's up a gulf with an island at the bottom, so you don't often get waves onto the beach. So you're pretty much sailing in solid sea breezes, a bit like Western Australia, not as strong. It's a little more tactical, but it's just glamour sailing. It's warm,
good sailing.
The shark thing's all fun. There are sharks there, but no one's ever worried about them. I've never worried about them. You just smack them in the head as you go past them.
That's right, Lid.
Yeah, we've all survived. A few of us are missing.
We
bits.
have. No.
Anyway, that's a good get. So get your boat there. Hopefully, all the logistics and shipping stuff can be worked out by then. Jack Lloyd, listener of the week. Actually, boss, I've got to say, the loss of Jack Lloyd was a big thing for us, as we remember. It was a surprise for all of us, and it impacted on us a lot. One of my best mates' dads died just a couple of days ago, so John Messenger and the whole Messenger clan, iconic Adelaide family, non-sailors, but, as Jack, his dad was like a second father to me, so it's been a hard week. Thinking about that family. So I just thought, while we're talking about Jack Lloyd, who was a great man. Yeah. So we've got something interesting coming up from Down Under Sail.
Correct. From the ground up, as mentioned last week, the documentary that it's been put together by the fourth leg of Barkarati, Harry Fisher.
Yep.
It's currently at time of recording doing the rounds around the clubs. Well, some of the main Sharpie clubs around Australia.
Yep.
And we are going to spend some time, you and me, Jordan, with some popcorn, watching this doco together and going to give it a review. We're going to create a new segment, Barkarati reviews.
Yeah, it would be movie critics. I love it. So it will be going live to the internet on the 19th. So Friday the 19th. So when we do the review, it'll probably be out there. But we just wanted to. We've got it. We've got a special pre-release, but we thought we'd just time it a little bit closer so that people can just listen to our review and go straight to and watch it. Is the logic behind that? So we didn't want,
and we'll post all the links and everything for that. So,
but it's I mean, it's great that Harry and his team, the whole team at Down Under Sale, have put a documentary together about a really cool class. The interesting thing I've learned, boss, is there's just not that many dinghy and small boat classes that are 3-person, and we all know, like they've got the National 18 here, right? It's been a massive talking point. They're super cool looking boats. We all know that third person in the dynamic brings a whole nother level. As Barker 80's got 3 hosts. Well, we used to until we lost our mate. He'll be back, I think, next week is what we're hoping. Yes, but so the Sharpies, if you've never seen one, super cool boat. We've all sailed them. I think all 3 of us have sailed them, know them well, and we've all suffered the boat races and all that whole thing. Yeah, we've had some unique experiences as part of the Sharpie, is all I'll say.
Here. So we look forward to that review.
It's hot time with Bice.
Speaking of Harry Fisher.
Harry Fisher. Wonderful. Mate, this week it's a bit of around the grounds.
Okay.
There's a lot going on. Right. Almost too much to really comprehend when you actually have a life outside of doing a podcast. But there's a lot going on. Yep. Namely, number one, we see a bunch of Aussies dressed up in it's not the canary yellow this time, my friends. It is Australian gold. Their boat is livered in gold, and it is the Australian team which will be taking part in the Star Sailors League in the RC44s. Something we alluded to, I can't remember, was it when we had Sam on, I think. Exactly. But they have put a team together to take it to the rest of the world led by Tom Slingsby, I believe. Well, they've had JB there.
JB, I think, is technically the leader.
Helmsman.
I think he's technically the leader in the whole show, JB. So they go through a whole bunch of rounds, and then they're getting busy, mate. Like everyone's on board. Like, you name it, everyone's getting on board that whole league, and they're also creating a whole database of sailors. There's somebody's quite smart with this whole program. There's a lot going on.
I mean, league sailing in general is a fantastic concept, right?
Yep.
You turn up, the boat's there. You don't have to worry about all that logistics and operations of dealing with any of that.
Yeah.
And we see it across, all the way down to State Sailing League here in Oz, all the way up to, this is probably one of the premium league events around the world.
So to visualise it for the listener, so they understand, it's like the Football World Cup or the Rugby World Cup in sailing. So you sort of you fight off in your regions and you end up going through to the final, and then they get their top nations and they all race off against each other, and that's basically the whole gist of it. So all these teams assemble, you put together, and then we're going to find the winner of the Star Sailors League Gold Cup, and then in theory they're going to be the keelboat world champions. They're trying to create a World Cup sort of feel, which is cool.
Yeah, that's good. And I'm guessing the boatyard at this particular event would have a lot of gold vinyl to clean the boats up.
Yeah.
All right, something else which is going on.
Yep.
Is the Blowcart Worlds taking place in New Zealand in October.
Oh,
we love this.
Why aren't we there? Is it in October?
What? It is October the 17th. Practice starts from.
Oh.
So
have you sailed one?
Yeah, I actually saw one early 2000s, and throughout my research on this, they only ever came into the foray since 99, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. I mean, they're awesome, these things. Like, I've sailed one once, so it's as much as I know. But, yeah, it's going to be unreal. It's going to be unreal. It's going to be a ton of fun.
So we'll be keeping an eye on that, which then leads me into the next point is the world's biggest blow kart, or not the world's biggest, but the Team New Zealand land speed record. They have their, what do we call it? A boat, their vessel. Has arrived in Adelaide. Just probably got to wait another 6 months for the lake to dry out. So I must admit, I haven't seen it being towed down the road just yet. But I'm keeping my eye out because literally it landed only probably 5 minutes from my joint. So
look, it's exciting. But yeah, the lake's not dry, so it'll be a while. But we love it.
But we'll keep an eye on that. And the minute that happens, I'm sure there's a few of us who'll be heading out to Lake Gardner to check it out.
Yeah, very cool.
It's going to be good.
What else?
I've got a question for you, Jordan.
Yes.
So, and this is Kate Middleton, Sail GP. I know you're quite the royalist. You're probably the most royalist out of all of us here.
Because I'm related to Lady Diana Spencer.
What was your impression when she was around the actual Sail GP? Was it an absolute circus or?
No, it was really cool, actually. I mean, we sort of a lot of us got chased away. Like, we didn't get to go too close. Like, our mate Henry Woodhouse was the man that he gave her the whole safety briefing and stuff. So he got his hands on Kate, which is, I don't think anybody would begrudge him that. It's not his style, of course. He likes a slightly different shaped woman, as we know, and his beautiful wife. I meant that in the nicest possible way, Henry, if you're listening. He actually that came across terribly. He knows exactly what he likes, and he's got a beautiful wife he loves deeply.
Yeah. All right, stop digging holes.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened? There was a lot of cops suddenly appeared, which was cool because they were super nice. It was really good. There were supposedly snipers spread around just watching for people. So we were under quite a high level supervision. They told us not to take photos. I gave the same message back. I said, look, can you just tell Kate?
As you mentioned, sure.
Yeah. I've done that, have I? I've done that job.
Basically, this is going somewhere.
Okay.
So I stumbled across an article throughout the week.
Yeah.
Check this out. The Duchess of Cambridge boasts an impressive fitness repertoire from tennis to rowing, running to sailing and more. The royal sporting talents are so respected, she's even landed herself the opportunity to compete alongside Olympians.
Oh, dear.
So essentially, they've written that now she is a critical part of the Sail GP team.
Oh, dear.
And then it goes into what she was wearing, the tailored white linen short from British heritage brand Holland Cooper at $243. And a striped navy sweater. She looked perfectly preppy.
Oh dear. That
to show off her super toned legs. So this is where it's ended up in the UK press that she is now a critical part of that team. Good. But as we all know, it's a whole different story to that. But it brought a whole lot of attention to it. So it'll be good to see what the spin-off here is.
I wonder how she went with Gibbs and Parker, two Aussies on that boat, two convicts. Did she call them
wouldn't
convicts?
Be able to understand them anyway. So
not those two, no.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it was a ton of fun. I did manage to spend a lot of that day with Slingsby's missus, and the one thing about her, she's absolutely lovely, but she loves to tell stories. She's very forthcoming in conversation. And Slingers, like, after the day, he knew that she'd probably shared too much information. And he looked at me, and I just said, "Don't worry, mate. I'll never share a word."
That's right. We'll if you all of a sudden hear the segment come back on the air called The Secret Pro, though.
Yeah. yeah. The secret bedtime names. Yes. Oh, dear. Cool. Good. What else?
Well, like I said, there's a whole lot going on. I mentioned it last week.
So much.
We've got the Round Britain Island race.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing to report on.
Yeah.
4 days in, they've done 600 miles. Or the leader of the fleet, which is Medalia Pip Hare, has only done 600 miles, got 1,200 to go. Who knows? This could be the longest race.
They're going to run out of food.
Yeah. Let's see what happens there. Again, go to sail.org, planetsail.org, or check out Flotilla for any updates on anything you want.
For example, the OK Worlds are on. Big resurgence in the OK Worlds. They're off Marstrand in Sweden, which is a great sailing venue. Charlie Crumbly is leading that from Thomas Hansen Mild, probably, and then Lars Johan. Yeah,
that's what we forgot to. We spoke about it last week, but the launch of Red Bull.
In
Barcelona.
Yeah.
And we're now seeing Dean Barker there as coach. Not sure if it's official coach, but we're seeing a few things going on over there. I'll be interested to see where this all ends up, especially with Red Bull, Jimmy, a few things like that. But picture this, first day out. I'm not sure if they've been sailing yet, but head coach stands up, Dino.
Yeah.
And he says exactly that. All right, boys, we've got a maneuver. We're going straight into the Dino.
Oh, dear.
Late tack, early bear away, hoist and crash.
Yeah. I love it. The Dino. Just looking at that, but obviously that's the original New Zealand boat.
That's the original Team New Zealand boat one. Yeah. So word on the street though, it is bad luck to change the name, especially as a Maori name. Of the original boat name. So we, like I said, we are a superstitious mob. Let's hope that doesn't turn in. Best we actually get them on quick smart to give them the Barkarati curse.
Oh yeah. Okay, we should do that. If you look at the pictures when she's hoisted in the air, you can see asymmetric, like completely different foils and legs to the foils on each side. So they're clearly set up to experiment. So boat zero, I guess, for the Italians. It's good to see it happening.
Swiss.
Sorry. I just automatically went. I went Alinghi and went to Italian. I do not know why. Thank you. I guess I have to make a mistake every episode. That's become my habit recently. So good on you for.
Do we tell the listeners now? Maybe on our wind out here, when BP slides in, we can just give a little insight as to what happened last week.
Did anything?
When we forgot. Well, exactly. We didn't press the record button, which is quite critical when you record.
You don't know how hard I focused on that tonight. Cool. Hey, mate. Else? That's it. I think
that's it. Plenty going on. Keep a lookout.
Particularly for that
message.
The ground up doco. That'd be cool.
Yep.
Everything's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another, B-Cut, the Barkarati Fix It episode. Send in any questions you got. We like a good discussion, so bring it on.
Cool. Love it. All right, man. Good work. It's been a ton of fun seeing your face again.
Look forward to seeing what happens the next couple of days, and then you're back to Oz, my friend.
Back to Oz. Can't wait to get home, see the bride.
Can't wait till you're home with your Irish accent.
Oh, yeah, that'll be grand. A bit grand. I've started saying grand. They've corrupted me. But they're lovely people. It's a good place.
Well, the more Guinness you drink, the more grand it is.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. All right, mate. Have a good one.
Cool, mate. Good one.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great week.
Take me where the wind might be. Take me home and fading untamed.
Milo. Hey, Milo.